All right. I've been watching a lot of Robert Rivera's videos on YouTube, and I decided, man, I should give him a call and we should have a conversation and record that. And I thought I would just get on here and record a conversation on Skype and everything would be fine. We have video, but turns out I'm not very tech savvy. So I need to figure out what program I need to do that, to record our Skype conversations video. But we figured out how to do some audio and just record that. So that's what this interview is. It's audio. It's Robert and myself talking about different groups and organizations that are involved in organized stalking and harassment. Some different random stuff. He knew Myron May, and we talked about that a little bit. So here is the first talk with Tony, Robert Rivera, and myself. Okay, audio recording started. All right, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, Mike. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. So, I'm Michael Barden, and this is Robert Rivera, and we are targeted individuals, and we apparently we've been watching each other's videos, and I've been watching Robert's for a while. It is, tell me the proper name of your YouTube channel.
First Amendment to the United States Constitution.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and you have a pretty good following. You've got like 4,500 subscribers or something now, and a lot of people watching your videos.
It's a couple thousand subscribers. Sometimes I'll wake up and over 1,000 are missing, and they come back. So I'm assuming that YouTube or someone is deleting them.
Yeah, man, mine's kind of weird like that. It says when I open it up, it says I have over 2,000 subscribers, and then I go into my analytics or whatever, and it says like 1,900, and it said that when I had 1,500 too, that I have over 2,000, and I'm like, well, which one is right? So yeah, that's kind of weird. But a lot of people are watching your videos too, man, because you have a lot of good information, and you explain things well. You do a lot of research, and I thought that I retained information pretty well, but you're on another level, man. It's pretty impressive. So anyway, that's why I reached out to you and said, hey, man, let's get together and let's do a video. Let's record our conversation and talk about some of the information that we've come up with, and try to get that out to some other people that don't have the time to research this, or have the skills to research it. Just put that information out to them so they kind of get an idea of what's going on, in their life too, and maybe how to stop some of this, how to stop the funding of some of these groups, or at least if we can't stop the funding, find a way to kind of delete that part of their job duties. If they're in a specific job and part of their job duty is to gang stalk somebody, let them keep their job, but don't let them be part of the Stasi police, stuff like that. So
yeah.
And if these groups that's all their job is to be part of a domestic surveillance program, and that's their only function, then yeah, let's figure out a way to shut them down, like completely take away their funding, So, but what? So we just talked yesterday for like a half an hour. Sorry, I saw you drinking your coffee, and I was like, man, where's mine? I got mine too. So, but yeah, so we just started talking. We were talking for like a half an hour, and we've already talked about all kinds of stuff that seemed pretty interesting to other people. So I go, hey, let's just stop right there and start recording this. So Robert and I have only talked for like a half an hour, but I feel like I already know you though, man. I've watched so many of your videos that I see your face now, and I'm like, oh, hey, that's a really familiar face. I know that guy. It was good to see him. But when we were talking yesterday, I was explaining to you some of the type of harassment that I've experienced just in my neighborhood and in my town, my community, and stuff like that. And you said that sounds like something that HHS, might be involved in, or I can't remember how you said it, but you said HHS. So, what can you tell me about those guys?
Health and Human Services is involved in community policing along with Department of Justice and Citizens Corps. The Citizens Corps programs have a big part of this gang stalking movement, which is happening on a local level through emergency management, InfraGard, and Health and Human Services. So it's a collaboration of people that work with the post offices, that work with fraternal orders, local groups, your Rotary Club, etc. And Health and Human Services has people that are involved in public surveillance. So if you ever have been considered as possibly mentally ill or socially isolated, maybe bipolar, whatever, they are groups of people that work through Health and Human Services to do public health surveillance. And these people are utilizing tactics which are being promoted through our fusion centers and are in fact tied to Department of Homeland Security. Not only is there proof of this, I've shared it in numerous websites, and I have a video called Harassed by X Health and Human Services employee on my YouTube First Amendment to the United States Constitution channel. And you can actually see that the document where he works under Exemption 6, which means top secret, classified, where they can literally harass you and get away with it.
That man, okay, so what you're talking about right now, Health and Human Services, and a lot of this has to do with medical diagnosis and stuff like that. People will be put on these lists because of medical diagnosis. Like, say, I have right here, Midge Mathis stopped by the other day, and we were just talking about some different things, and she, I'm just showing you this. We can't see it on the video, but this is an Arizona executive order. Here, I'll just read some of it to you because I forgot we're just doing audio, and you and I can, yeah. So Robert and I can see each other, so we can have a normal conversation, but we're just doing an audio recording right now because the lack of my tech skills to get that to record the video. So we're just going old school doing audio. Anyway, yeah, a friend of mine brought by this State of Arizona executive order, and it says Executive Order 2017-4, Enhanced Surveillance Advisory. So this is one of those executive orders so this one says, this one has to do with opioids. So basically, it's long story short, it's like 3 pages, but it says something to do with if a person is prescribed opioids, they go on to this surveillance list, and it lists all of these different organizations that are involved.
Holy crap, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and it's like Arizona Criminal Justice Commission, Arizona Department of Economic Security, Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System, Arizona Health and Medical Boards. Anyway, it goes on and on and on. All these different people that are part of that, and I'd never seen anything like that before. So that sounds almost like something that would have to do with what you're talking about with HHS, and that's
most likely.
And HHS sounds like it's really big. Like it's not something you can, when somebody says, "Well, explain that to me and give me the 30-second version." There's no way. It'd take quite a while to explain the whole thing.
It's been infiltrated also by people that work with Department of Homeland Security and government contractors. There's a tremendous amount of them working through Health and Human Services right now. And a matter of fact, I would say approximately about 40% of the people working at these FEMA emergency management centers have experienced in psychological warfare, and they're also utilized on our streets. A matter of fact, I actually have a document of it listed on my YouTube channel here. I think it's called Community Mobbing Fusion Centers, Federal Departments, Police linked to gang stalking operations. It's like the 4th or 5th video on my channel, I believe. Okay. And I clearly show the document and how this came from a fusion center. I can't tell people exactly how I got it. I'm not supposed to have it. It's sensitive but unclassified, and it says on it not to be released to the public. I have the actual document for TIs that want it, but online I have areas marked out where you can see the document being given from fusion centers, from law enforcement. It tells them exactly how they can opt out of criminal background checks online anywhere in America. It'll opt you out of all of them. and they utilize this so that way they can do some of this gang stalking. So it appears that Department of Defense is networking with contractors, the NSA, the FBI especially. They're big time into this. I've never seen anything like it. Homeland Security and Health and Human Services utilizes their stakeholders. I made a video a while back on my YouTube channel where you can search for it, where it says calling Citizens Corps Stakeholder HHS to notify them of their stakeholder harassing me. When I hired a private investigator from Dallas, we discovered that this group was harassing me. I contacted HHS, and they'll take care of it. 2 weeks later, I was harassed by a neighbor that works for them, and works for a government contractor. It's like called System or something. I have the name and everything on the video called Harassed by HHS Employee.
Okay.
I was harassed by neighborhood watch groups too.
Yeah,
and it was nonstop. Every time I went out my house, people would walk up to me, spit 6 inches from me.
Yeah, I've had that same thing.
I mean,
right as you get out of the car, they talk a loogie and spit it right by your foot, just trying to get you to say something. And then they try to run a cart into you, and
running trash, throwing trash in your yard, and you don't see no one else's yard. And
Yep, on the front doorstep. The day after you mentioned something about, somebody left some trash down the street. The next day, there's trash on your doorstep, or a Coke can, or some random thing that they'll do 10 times in a row. So, but
have you ever had it happen when you go out and do an errand and you see no trash anywhere? And then when you go get your mail, you come back, whatever, you just see trash all over the place.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
In a new area, in a very decent area.
Yep. Yeah. And and then the thing is, they'll do it repetitively for a while, so it's not just, and then all of a sudden it stops, and then some other weird thing goes on. So, but yeah, we could probably do a whole segment different shows like once a week or something like that on all the weird stuff they do, like all the little.
There's so many tactics.
Stuff. Yeah, and I don't get it. I mean, I get it. I get what they're trying to do. It's a psychological operation, but how much time and effort and money is put into this is so ridiculous. It's and it's like we keep talking about, all these compartmentalized groups that are getting contracts or making money to do this through these classified. I guess they've got to be classified government programs, or
unacknowledged special access programs. Sure,
USAPs. Yeah,
SAP.
Yeah, USAP. Yeah, man.
They have to be.
Yeah, it's got to be, and I don't know how we can go about getting that stuff unclassified. That the FISA court, the unredacted documents coming out might be helpful, but that seems that they're focusing only on the president being put through the FISA court, not any of us. The other, how many ever, like they had, I don't know, here's some random trivia for you. The FISA court, you might even know this, you probably do. The FISA court, last year had 1,500 requests to put people through the FISA court, and how many do you think they denied?
Probably none of them.
0. So every single one, they're like, yeah, okay, go ahead. Not one of them out of 1,500 where they're like, I don't know, you don't have enough evidence here. Let's, so they basically rubber stamp all these things, and that's part of the way I think that they're getting a lot of us into these programs and making money on us on these government contracts, So, hey, speaking of government contracts, I don't know if this is something you researched yet, but have you ever heard of a company called Arcadis? ARCADIS?
Arcadis? I don't believe so.
I'd never heard of them until recently, but they're a huge government contractor.
Check that up, Arcadis. I'm listening. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, look it up, please, because it's that way you can check it out while we're talking. Arcadis.com. They have a ton of military construction contracts, surveillance contracts, all kinds of different stuff. So that guy that owns that, I believe he's the executive vice president. I probably said it wrong, but anyway, he's high up. He's the vice president, I think. That's the guy that was married to Midge Mathis, and that targets her. And we checked out Arcadis, so he's the, on all the contracts it says his name. that guy, they have the contract for, I believe, for Booz Allen Hamilton, who's like CIA, Edward Snowden.
Yeah.
And I think possibly that some of this, what we're going through, is through some of those military contracts, because that guy for sure targets Midge. Like, that's her number one. So I don't even know if I should be saying that. Yeah, no, she's talked. She's talked about it. She's talked about it on Ella. I forgot.
Yeah.
She told me. Yeah.
She's talked about it on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. So that guy, his name's Don Claus, but he like personally stalked her and but has a ton of military contracts. Like 100. I don't know. I didn't count them all, but if you check out the website Arcadis, that might be where some of these contracts are, where they're doing some of this. But I just thought I wanted to pass that on to you, because you do research and stuff. So if you looked into that, you might be like, oh, hey, check this out. These guys are linked to these guys. So,
it's pretty massive, the amount of contractors that are actually utilized. The FBI utilizes contractors for this. It's not top secret, through InfraGard, and just regular contractors. A lot of them have security clearances, and there's literally not hundreds, I would say thousands of organizations they utilize surveillance workers. They call them also role players. Yeah. And the Freemasons, a massive part of the puzzle. A lot of them do this for no money at all.
Yeah.
They are stakeholders with Department of Homeland Security. Was found at the Law Library. The Tarleton Law Library has a document. It's a book. It's called Department of Homeland Security Legislative number. I forgot the number, but it's like the very third floor. It's in the right back. It's a stack of books talking about DHS and their stakeholders. When I opened it up, it stated there was like 1.2 million Freemasons, which are stakeholders involved in community policing, community engagement.
Yeah.
And there was also another document talking about the United Nations and how the tactics that are being used on the street right now in America, a lot of this is being promoted by international communities. Like the United Nations it was restricted, now it's not. It's able to access it. And it stated that they try to get people that are involved in community policing to dress in a similar manner like you, getting close to you in stores, doing things that other people would not notice. Say, oh, it's a coincidence, but it's really not when it's happening nonstop. And what's happening is this is being promoted on a governmental level to the point where contractors or fusion centers and their buddies are getting this training. I actually went to, when I found out Citizens Corps was involved in my harassment, I went to their main office. It's under the Texas Association of Regional Councils. And when you look across the United States, there are thousands of these regional councils. They are tied to your government contractors, emergency management, all these different roundtables. So it's easy for a contract to get passed. DOD actually is now connected to the fusion centers. There's proof that the NSA has their own fusion centers. They actually run them with no cops, just military personnel. So anytime I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I was going to say, I think one's at Fort Meade, Maryland, and one of their big hard drives, and the other one's in Utah. I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's.
Oh no.
I actually.
Yeah, they have.
Lived at that on Fort Meade for a couple times. I went to school out there at the Defense Information School. So I passed that front entrance of the NSA like I lost count how many times. But yeah, there's weird stuff going on. Keep telling me what you're telling me though, please.
So anytime you have a bunch of governmental agencies being given not millions but billions of dollars, what ends up happening is that they're going to want to help their friends, and money has to go somewhere. And if they want to get more funding, so there are reports of people that are being followed around by people that are blind. Like every time they open up their black back door, they see someone walking with a white cane. Yep. And then when you do research, you may find out, for instance, a company here for the deaf and blind, they get $1 billion a year from the government for a small school. I have the documentation. So they are organizations which are used as fronts. They are used as pawns and fall guys for this. There are videos of people being followed around by elderly people, every street they turn with a white stick, this crazy stuff. They utilize NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And when you look at your case, when you were talking about In one of your videos, it showed you were just getting training before 9/11,
Yeah.
and you see a plane hitting a tall tower. And then I look at my stuff, and I'm like, I have a pen that was given to me by a World Trade Center relief worker, and it has the name of a company that left the World Trade Center 2 weeks before the bombing. I showed him my last video. It's like the latest one that I have.
Wow.
And it's a pic of it underneath the video, and you can see the pen. And it was given to me by a World Trade Center relief worker. And then when I heard your story, I'm like, hold on a second. He was targeted before, but it's like he's going deeper down the rabbit hole. And you have a picture, you showed it. It's like, I guess, a manual or something where you see, I guess, involve your training when you're in the military. And when I seen that plane hitting that building, I'm thinking, hold on a second. It looks like possibly a World Trade Center or a skyscraper.
Yeah.
And that time, that's kind of odd. It's like really, really odd. It just made me think, wow.
That was the certificate actually for completing that training. That was the certificate they handed out to everybody. So there was like, I don't know, 50 other people that got one of those with their name on it, that were in that class too. So, but yeah, that was weird timing. So they gave you a pin, like what was it?
Well, at that time I was going to Bishop State Community College. I think I was in my early 30s then, and I was taking a truck driving course in Alabama. I lived in Florida at the time, so I just stayed there for like 2 or 3 months, and I was at a waffle shop, and I met a guy that worked at the World Trade Center. At that time, he was there for that to help clean up that the BP oil spill. I don't know if you remember that horrible oil spill we had in 2010 against the coast.
Yeah.
So on my lunch break, me and him were talking at this waffle shop diner. I was having coffee, and he was talking about these oil spill jobs, and I was looking for a part-time job. So I needed a pen, and he had this briefcase, and he's like, here, grab a pen, and he had like literally stacks of them in there. I just grabbed any one, and it had a name of a company that left the World Trade Center 2 weeks before the bombing. I ended up later on, researchers started contacting me and found out that what I was saying was true. I don't want to mention the company because I'm not anti-Semitic. I love Jewish people. And it says Zim Israeli Shipping Company on it. I never made any accusations, but it came to find out they did break a long-term lease with the World Trade Center, moved their office down the road to the FBI office in Virginia. And they were owned by the Mossad, a Jewish Mossad. And later on, I started having problems with people. The city commissioner I was living at was Jewish, and my mayor. And I had explained to people I'm not anti-Semitic. I love everyone. I was just sharing a fact of what I discovered. It wouldn't matter if they were Puerto Rican, my own race. I was just utilizing my rights to freedom of speech.
Exactly, yeah.
And I found myself targeted even more.
Yeah. It's amazing how it is kind of reactive to your actions. Like when you do something, when you make a good video, when you find out some really good information, you start saying something about that. It's like an immediate reaction. When you head out into town, you're like, whoa, I pissed them off. It's really, really thick today. They're everywhere today. They're swerving at me. The gang stalking is increased. And then, it's always perfect timing. And maybe, a couple of those things that get mixed in there are coincidences, but there's no way. Yeah, there's too many times is a pattern, because people are like, oh, well, you just think traffic's bad? Try driving in LA, something like that. It's like I'm from California. I know what bad traffic is like. This is not that. This is people doing things at perfectly timed, the exact moment they pass you, they get your attention. I'm explaining something to you. You already know. You're like, yes, I live there.
Yeah. But it's important that you guys know about this because it is true. We don't want people thinking they're crazy if they see 20 white cars next to them. It's not normal,
Yeah, exactly. I just took some video. Yeah. Kathy and I were driving out of here. We're heading out. I can't remember where we were even going, but we're just leaving the house, and we get to the stoplight, and there's what was there, like 8 or 9 just white cars completely all the way around us, behind us, and I'm like, That would be cool, if that was a coincidence once a year that happened or something like that. But after it happens the 50th time, you're like, gee, there sure are a lot of white cars around here. And then all of a sudden one day it changes, and it's not white cars anymore, it's bright blue cars. That happened to us a couple weeks ago, where everywhere we're going, there's a bright blue car coming up, popping in front of us, just everywhere. Like, that's... and then all of a sudden that stops. and then it's back to the what, it's like they're flipping up the colors, and then trying to get me or whoever else that's dealing with this to try to explain how that works, and then have people say, "Oh, come on, really? Every couple days, blue cars, huh? And then red cars, yeah." I think I was trying to figure out, like, how do they get these people all these cars? And I was thinking, that's the colors that people buy the least, like the bright blue, the bright red. Those are the ones that are still way back on the lot. Maybe they do some kind of government contract and be like, okay, here's what we're going to do with all these cars. We'll give them to gang stalkers so they go drive around and do the FBI floating box and, whatever tactic they call it, the auto model.
I'm thinking that a lot of this stuff is actually tied to people that own their own car lots. Remember, a long time ago, I used to watch these FBI movies where you would see the FBI would network with someone that owns a car lot. Well, if you look at my video called FEMA Citizens Court and Unconstitutional Treatment, you will see that I had made a video where I was talking to a Citizens Court informant. I ended up getting his number because he was considering going to the state attorney to turn over the evidence. He has the documentation that he signed a non-disclosure agreement with Citizens Court. He started chickening out because police started giving him a hard time, and he felt bad about what he was doing. He actually almost broke down.
Okay, wait, tell me that. Okay, he has a video on YouTube?
Actually, I have it, and he's a Citizens Court informant. He's a gang stalker.
Yeah, and
I confronted him because I was having heart palpitations because every hour I had 10, 20 people wearing black shirts with crossbones, like skull bones on them, and pacing back and forth in front of my window nonstop. I'm like, what is this? So I got my car and went over there down a block and followed this guy. And I said, hey, man, what's going on, man? I'm experiencing this crap all day long. And he just told me straight up, man, I work with police and Citizens Court. And I said, why are you guys doing this to me? I'm not a rapist. I'm not a child molester. I have no sex charges. I don't harass no one. Why are you guys doing this to me? And all I could remember was him like this right here. And like, you could tell he was about to break down and cry.
Yeah.
And he just turned around for a second. I said, man, you have no idea the suffering that you're putting my loved ones and me in. I said, this is destroying my life. And then he told me, he says, look, I told him, would you be willing to share your evidence with the state attorney in the city hall? And he was like, yes. He gave me his number, and I actually have it on my part 2 of FEMA Citizens Court Unconstitutional Treatment. And anyone can feel free to call him. So I call this guy and back, and then he kind of chickens out. But the number is registered to a guy that's U.S. Air Force. I guess was in there for like 20 years, graduated from West Point, and his wife is friends with the police, and she's a photographer, owns a photography shop here.
Okay.
So I find it interesting. She does photography, network with police, and this guy is obviously related to them somehow, and the person that owns the phone owns a car lot. Isn't that something?
But there's so many coincidences that, after they happen so many times in a row, you start to go, oh, okay. What?
10 white cars, 10, come out of a store and you see 10 white cars lined up in a line. It's like, oh, is this a coincidence?
Yeah.
It gets you angry. It gets you angry after like 30, 40 times. At first I wasn't angry. And then after it kept happening and happening, it was like, I was starting to feel degraded and demoralized. Like, this is not right.
No, it's not right, because these people are, well, one, they're clogging up the roads. They're out there when they don't need to be. They're not just surveilling people, they're intimidating them and trying to mess with their mind and trying to get them to say, white cars are following me. And then as soon as you say that, the MMPI says, you're delusional, nobody follows you. Even though there's, here, I wanted to tell you about this. Good segue, accidentally. I was talking about this yesterday, I think to Jason Goodman. Have you heard of the SSG?
The SSG.
They're FBI.
SSG. I'm trying to think.
They're the secret surveillance group, and they're funded by I'd never heard of them until like a couple weeks ago, or a month ago, something like that. A couple weeks ago. But they're funded by the FBI, and they go to Quantico, Virginia, for 9 weeks and do this foot surveillance training and vehicle surveillance training, and then they send them back out into the community to go do this to people. And that it's on their website. Like if you go to their Wikipedia page,
Uh-huh.
Just Google or DuckDuckGo, whatever, SSG, and if you
SSG.
and if you go to their Wikipedia page, it has a link to the FBI.gov page, and it explains their job duties, and it literally says right there, we train people to follow people on public transportation, in vehicles, on foot, do video surveillance of them. I mean, it says exactly what they're doing right here, but yet we've got
I found it.
yeah, we've got a test that, that a psychological test that if somebody takes and they figure out this program that's clearly stated on the FBI website, just one of the many, many groups that does this kind of thing, people are going into psych wards because they're talking about what's on this website. There's something majorly wrong there. They need to update that test to integrate it with what's really going on with these intel communities and these illegal domestic Stasi surveillance programs, which is ridiculous. They even just call it surveillance programs. It's psyop Nazi terrorism is what it is, So, but yeah, that one I wanted to tell you about too, because you, like I said, you're the king of research, man. You do a really good job with that. And
I try.
you do a really good job. I want more people
This
to check out your videos. What's that?
It's special. This is good stuff. The special surveillance group. I'll have to check that out. Do more research on it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's pretty good.
It's I mean, it's like they're not hiding anything. They just say we follow you in cars, on the bus. Yeah.
NSA whistleblower Karen Stewart actually called the FBI for help, and they hung up on her.
They hung up on me twice. I
called the FBI
me and
Ben, me 2 times. The third time I called them back, and I went, gloop. I was so upset because the government refused to help me.
Yeah. I called the FBI when I lived in Oklahoma. Told them something weird was going on, that I was being stalked, and they said call the local police, and it was like, they're partially involved in doing some of this weird shit. So I don't know if I feel comfortable calling them. So I was like, I didn't realize it had been going on in California too. I hadn't put the dots together. I knew something weird was going on in California, but I didn't know what this whole thing was. I just knew that there was all this weird stuff. I seemed to be having bad luck, but oh man, I would go off on tangents. I forgot where I started with that. That's okay. So yeah,
that happens.
Sometimes I lose my train of thought so much. That's why it's tough to do these live videos. Like this one. Who knows? Even if we get done and I'd want to edit that part out or something, I might. But we don't need to. It's fine. People do that. So yesterday we were talking about. Man, I thought this was pretty interesting. You've been targeted for quite a while. Like you realized it start right away, pretty much, right? Or
around 1996 is when I first realized it.
Wow,
I was being targeted.
Okay, wow. So you've known. Wow, man.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. Yeah, I graduated high school in 1994. You look young, man. You're.
I'm 40, but I feel.
Wait. Okay. So you.
Feel younger.
Okay. So wait.
Yeah.
So you were really young when you realized you were targeted.
Yeah, I think I was like around 18 years old when I knew that I was being targeted.
Wow, man, what a trip! Because life is really tough when you're 18 anyway. You haven't quite figured things out, become like the person you are yet. But then you realize you're targeted at 18, and then you're in this like weird reality, and you're trying to tell people about it. That's and you're still going, and you're still speaking clearly, and doing something.
Haven't lost my marbles
after all this time, man.
Because of the program.
That's commendable. You like Stephen Shellen. I think he's been targeted for like 23 years. I've been going through this for a long time, but I guess I just thought that I don't know. Weird stuff was happening. So I've only been known since, like I told you yesterday, May of 2017. Like exactly what this whole thing is involved, like that this is actually a program, that people are involved in this. I didn't, I wasn't sure where it was coming from or what the reason for any of this stuff was happening. And yeah, I've learned a lot in the last year, and from a lot of your videos too. So that's pretty cool. But you said, yeah, when we were talking yesterday, you said that you knew Myron May.
Yes, I lived in the same town as he did. And at that time, I had a nonprofit registered with the state of Florida. And we were communicating because I was part of that freedom from covert harassment, which has pretty much been dismantled. It appears to have been infiltrated because every time there was a serious like shooting or something, it seemed like a few of these people were members of freedom from covert harassment.
Oh, shit.
So we had communicated back and forth, and I actually have his letter. Gosh, I forgot which. I have like almost 200 videos online on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
But if you contact me on my YouTube page and you go to the discussion box, I will send you the link because I have it on my Google Docs of one of his last letters. It actually has his name on there.
Okay.
And on the letter, it states that I think he mentioned mentioning about hope things work out. And he donated some money to me, and he was mentioning about going to Albuquerque, New Mexico, because Florida was very expensive. I was going through pure hell, and he knew that. So I went over there, and when I asked for help at the main FBI office in Virginia, I called them. They hung up on me twice. I went to the main FBI office in the only one in Albuquerque. They said I was delusional. They never even took not even a second to hear me out. The Secret Service told me spend $1,000 and get a mental evaluation.
It's automatic. It's part of their active denial, not the sonic system active denial, but the psychological part they call active denial. Just you're delusional, like no evidence, no listening, no nothing, just automatic response. You're delusional. That's impossible to evaluate if somebody's delusional or not with one sentence. Like you can't just say that doesn't exist. But that seems to be their standard operating procedure with anybody that tries to provide some kind of real evidence or real complaint. Oh, you're delusional. That's like the new, like, I don't want to do my job. I'm not going to let you know I know about this statement. You're delusional. So, but now we have evidence that says that if people are, that we have evidence that there are organizations that state clearly on their websites that they hire people to follow citizens here in the United States around. But we have our mental. I'm being kind of redundant. I keep talking about this, but it's a huge thing. Maybe we should try to call the public affairs group for the people that put out the MMPI test and give them some of this information. Give them links to the website. And ask them why they haven't updated their test yet and why they're putting people away in mental facilities. They're responsible for putting people away in mental facilities for reporting the truth, reporting something that they're not delusional about, but it's actually going on. And, we have groups that say they do this. And they're, that'd be cool. Give them a call and ask them about that, see if they'd respond.
What I find unbelievable is that DHS and all these organizations, they're really not hiding what they're doing, and Congress is not doing anything.
Yeah.
The FBI, our police chief, DHS, they're all supportive of this movement. When we look at what happened to ex-DHS whistleblower Julia Davis, she whistleblowed on some things that were going wrong, possible terrorists being able to come into our country. She contacted the FBI, and her friend Brittany Murphy, her husband, was assassinated. We look at Bridget. What's her name? Your friend, that lady, I forgot her name. She's targeted justice. It always comes back to contractors, DHS, the government, stakeholders. It's like a revolving door where I see the same thing over and over and over again. But it always comes back to the system. Because the mafia and gangs, they may have the budget, but they're not going to be wasting their time following around people that are possibly bipolar or anxiety ridden because they've been stalked and harassed to the max.
Yeah, they're going to be following around somebody that's like in competition with them or threatening their turf or something like that. They're not going to They're not going to be following somebody around that's got a medical diagnosis or a faulty medical diagnosis. Wow, man, that's a big part of this. So But that's yeah. I'm curious to see that letter from Myra May, man. That's really
Yeah.
because I had I talked to some other TIs and everybody's got their different uh, theories on what happened and stuff like that. But somebody actually told me that I don't even know if I want to say his name or if he would want me to, but told me that he knew
Mm-hmm.
not Myra May also, and that he thinks that the Myra May shooting that he didn't even actually shoot anybody. That was a psyop. That was like one of the staged kind of theater things. Um,
Mm-hmm. I
I'm
think
not.
it was for real,
Yeah.
but I think it could have been a psyop in a sense that the man was being systematically harassed and sleep
Yeah.
deprived. Anytime you can't sleep, anytime you're being
Oh man,
systematically stalked, then you're going to be delusional.
it's work.
So he went, yeah,
Yeah.
he went from
It's
being sane to being crazy. It's just impossible, and like that.
induced. Like what he was
Mm-hmm.
talking about the roosters crowing on a loop. With the audio and stuff like that. That when they're putting you through that noise campaign, sleep deprivation, some of the stuff they do
Mm-hmm.
to sleep deprive us, I don't even talk about because it sounds too science fiction for some people to even believe. So that's kind of like why I like some of your videos too. You talk about the groups and who's involved and what we can do to stop it instead of a lot of the technology. It's important to talk about a lot of that stuff because they definitely mess with me with some of that stuff and it makes it hard to sleep and it does exactly what you're talking about. The sleep deprivation and all of the psyop tactics that they're using, they induce like a paranoia. They induce. I mean, it's not paranoia when you know something is going on. It's vigilance. It's like a soldier that goes into battle. He's not paranoid that somebody might be shooting at him. He knows that there's somebody trying to hurt him, so he's vigilant. He's
Yeah,
hyper vigilant. That's the same thing that we are. We know there's something going on. We know that these people are doing these weird, things to us. So, it causes you to become hyper vigilant. But that's not a bad thing if you're trying to survive. you
yeah.
know. So, um, but yeah, they, yeah, you know what? And I was thinking about too. He made his video saying, this is pretty much my last video.
Mm-hmm.
He
He
knew.
told people
Yeah,
he was pretty much asking for help, and where was the FBI? Where was the government? They didn't do
nowhere they were
anything.
doing it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they were involved in it. So, well, man, I'm hoping. I don't know if I'm sure you've seen something about the 5,100 something or no, I'm not sorry. I'm sorry. 50,000, 51,000 sealed indictments. Have you seen that?
What's
Okay,
that about?
so there's on average each year in the United States, 1,000 sealed indictments go out. Um, this year there are 51. I don't know the exact number, but right around 51,000 sealed indictments that are being ready to be served. So
Mm-hmm.
that's 50 times the annual average that this year. And so in December 2017, President Trump signed the executive order 13818. And it has to do with government corruption and just corruption in general, corporate corruption, government corruption, and ending that. And I think they're using 13818 to go after some of these people and seize their assets. And I'm really hoping, I'm sure you'll do some research on this after I tell you, but I'm really hoping
Heck yeah.
that these 51,000 sealed indictments have to do with the people that have set up some of these contracts that you and I are talking about right now to
Mm-hmm.
turn our society into a Stasi police state. Um, 51,000 people are going to be served. I mean, this is uh, what I keep seeing and keep hearing on Twitter, and different people are posting these, and they're verified indictments. They're from a federal government website. It's not like somebody just says, "I think somebody's going to leak this." It's like actually
Mm-hmm.
on. I can't remember the what. Do you remember the website um, that Jason was talking about? That they look up the indictments. I can't remember what he. Anyway, I'll try to message it to you. It's website where you can look up who's been arrested and what indictments are going out and stuff like that. When I think of it, I'll send it to you. But yeah,
Sounds cool.
so yeah, man, that's 51,000 people that could be indicted that could have something to do that I really do think have something to do with this FISA court abuse and the gang stalking contracts and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. It looks I I'm hoping I'm right on that.
I hope so too,
So,
because this program needs to end.
yeah,
It's killing too many people.
definitely. Let's see. What else did I write down here? So we talked about HHS. I think we could do like a whole hour on talking about HHS and all the different like parts of that. I mean, that sounds pretty big.
Yeah, I'll have to probably take some notes. I actually have done some research on them, and there is quite a bit that I could share about HHS because they're tied to Citizens Corps, which is
FEMA,
a part
right?
of Homeland Security, FEMA, and
Yeah.
It's strange how they label them as a non-governmental organization. So how can a non-governmental organization go out and do community policing? They even have groups here that are Marxists, radical feminists. There's nothing wrong with that. People have the right to believe in what they believe in. But when you start getting people involved in different theologies, involved in community policing and paying their organizations money to target you,
then it becomes a felony.
Yeah, it becomes unethical and abusive.
Yeah. Not to mention a felony. Like, okay, so here's another one I just thought of. You probably already know about this too. So there's U.S. Code Section 18241. Have you ever read that before?
I don't know off the top of my head. What is it concerning?
Stalking. Shit, I have it right here.
Oh, is it like the USC case? I'm just trying to think. I had something about.
I have it right here somewhere. Of course, I have a stack of papers here that I. Oh, I'm on a computer. I'll just look it up real quick and I'll read it to you. It's pretty good. But it talks about. Well, here I'll just read it. U.S. 18241. Okay. So it says, if two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to him by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of his having so exercised the same, or if two or more persons go in disguise, this part right here, on the highway or on the premises of another, with intent to prevent or hinder his free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privileges so secured. So like that, we're just trying to go drive through town, and these people are going in disguise because they're not. Not in disguise. They're going as themselves, but they're not. They don't have an intent to go just be out in public doing whatever they're doing. Their intent is to stalk and harass us, and that's what this thing is basically talking about. It says they shall be fined under the title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both, and if death results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or attempt to kill, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for any term of years or for life or both, or may be sentenced to death. So this is a big deal, this 18 U.S. Code 241, conspiracy against rights.
And you know what's sad is that when I had showed video proof that Citizens Corps was harassing me to police, they're like, if you don't have proof, we're going to Baker Act you right now. When they seen the proof, they flipped out. They're like, oh my God, he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And they told me, aren't you guys going to press charges on the director or confront these people? Like, it's out of our hands. They're a corporation, so it's civil. So I told them, so officer, you're telling me that anyone from a corporation can stalk and harass me, and you cannot
do anything
arrest?
about it? It's a civil suit. That's ridiculous.
And this happened more than one time.
That's ridiculous. So there's different levels of society, I guess. I mean, like you if you're a corporation, you get to kind of do what you want, and then people have to take the time, effort, and money, which a lot of people don't have because they aren't a corporation. They're just a citizen trying to deliver snacks all day, or you know what I mean? Like they're just somebody busy trying to work. They don't have the capital to go after somebody that's doing this to them. and then you call the police, and they're like, they're a corporation. Sorry, you have to go after them in court, which is almost impossible for a lot of us to do. Which, yeah, wow, man, that's
200 grand is what this one lawyer told me he would want to even start on a case like this. 210,000. I'm like, well, I don't have that in my wallet right now. He has $210,000. What they want to start the case. He told me we can. Your case is good, but we need 210. He said, if I'm going to take sacrifices, if I'm going to put my family's lives in danger, then I need to get money, and we will get money, but this will take a while because we're fighting against the federal government.
Yeah.
Because FEMA's DHS, FEMA's Citizens Corps program, which utilizes NASA and a bunch of other agencies, your firemen under Fire Corps, your doctors on a Medical Reserve Corps, they're recruited into this program. I was looking on the internet just here a couple of days ago for the area I live in. They're trying to hire people to do mental health surveillance. And back it was in 2008, I was hit by an 18-wheeler on a rainy day by a reckless driver. Was kind of like unable to walk, messed up. It took me a couple months to heal. So I went to a counselor because I was depressed. But what's strange was I could not find a counselor with my insurance. I lived in a very wealthy area, was staying with family temporarily, and my insurance wasn't that good. So I called so many people, no one would accept it. A traveling doctor from Washington, D.C., I have his name on some files, went to one of my relatives' jobs and said, I'm going to be here for 2 days. I'm a doctor. They asked, oh, do you take this insurance? I said, oh, by the way, I do. So I go to see, made an appointment. The next day I see this doctor. I was there for 5 minutes, and I told him that I had been experiencing harassment by community policing groups and a group called the Freemasons. The first thing he said was that I was delusional and I was extremely mentally ill. And he said, well, how do you deal with the anger of being harassed? I told him that I practice martial arts. I like to punch a punching bag, and I practice the iron palm. But I own no weapons. I harm no person. It's just for releasing anger, staying fit. So he put me down that I was psychotic, extremely dangerous. And then after that, I was being targeted by fire EMS every day. Every day, it was every day.
So it sounds like the more people they put into this surveillance thing, the more federal money that they'll get into their agency, no matter who's doing
Fire
this.
Corps.
Yeah.
Fire Corps, and even the police. It doesn't benefit the police to stop this program because the VIPS program, the COPS program, is located in sheriff's departments and police stations. So they're getting money from DHS and DOJ.
Federal money.
Lots of bonuses. Lots of bonus. That's bonus money. That's extra money for pay raises. So it's a big racket for these police stations just to not want these programs to go away. They want to support these programs because they're going to get more money. And then neighborhood watch groups, they can give their friends money. Here's $3 or $4 grand. You got 50 people in your group. Have a barbecue once a month. Here's $3 or $4 grand for watching out over our neighborhood.
Exactly.
And keeping an eye.
And the more that they do this too, the more if there's somebody that disagrees with their with them, or they just want to get rid of that person because they don't like how they look or they're the wrong color or whatever, they can just throw them in this program, get them out of the society, put them into a prison, a mental facility, put them on this watch list, and get them put on psychotropic drugs or something like that, and eventually they will do something. It's just like their filtering system, and it doesn't have anything to do with surveillance. It has to do with people's views, and if you speak out, if you piss off the wrong person, they try to filter you out of their little network. And again, I'm hoping that a lot of these people that are doing this are part of those 51,000 sealed indictments. I think you'll really like that information, man. Check it out.
I'm gonna make a note on that right now.
Yeah, and I'll send you some stuff too. I don't know if you ever listened to any of the QAnon stuff, but they talk about these things that are coming out, these indictments, and different things like that. I watched some of that, and it's pretty interesting how they can kind of tell the future. They'll talk about what's going to happen, and it'll happen, and so. But
I'll make sure you get that letter from Myron May. I'll shoot you the link to that. It's downloadable. It's on Google Docs. I'll email it to you. And I'll also put it on my YouTube page on the discussion area. So if anyone else wants to look at it that is watching this video, can just download it and view it online.
Okay, cool. Hey, do you have let's see. I'm thinking. Let's see. So Robert and I are doing this for the first time, so we're just kind of trying to figure things out and work it out as we go here. So, but do you think we should do these for about an hour? I mean, that's is that about an hour, about a good time? And then we can
Yeah,
do them. I mean,
sounds good.
I'll do something like this with you as often as you want, man. We could sit down and talk for an hour, just because an hour seems like a good time for people to listen. If they might have an hour, they'll listen, and get some information in,
Mm.
and watch the next one or something. But so we're at like 54 minutes right now. So um, maybe, yeah. So we can. So this went good. This is our first one. We just did audio. We
Mm.
covered a lot of good information, in my opinion. I learned some stuff I didn't know. I think you did too. And I can send you some links, and we can uh, get this information out. But I think what people need to do is, like, when we have videos like this, is people need to share this, and get this kind of information out, not just to the targeted individual community, but out to other people. If there's like a show that you watch, like there's probably some shows you watch that people have like, uh, 300,000 subscribers. Try to contact those people and message them the links of these videos or audio recordings, so they can listen to them too and go like, hey, this seems like something maybe we should talk about. This seems like some news, and then get it outside of our just kind of our little network, because TIs, people kind of feel comfortable kind of sticking with each other and sharing stuff with each other and
Mm.
stuff like that. But really, we need to get this out to people. This kind of, especially the kind of information that you're studying, and explaining to people. It's awesome. But yeah,
Mm.
so yeah, so if people can share this video, I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel, and I started a Patreon too, because I'm trying to stay afloat, make a couple bucks. I know, Robert, you said you don't do any of that. You don't care about the
What's your
money,
username? What's your username though for the
on YouTube.
Patreon?
Oh, on Patreon, it's
Patreon.
just Michael J. Barden.
Michael J. Barden.
Yeah. So yeah, I just started that a couple of weeks ago. Just started uploading videos on there. But yeah, I got 4 Patreons so far. So that's pretty cool. Got 4 people. But yeah, Jason Goodman recommended that start doing that and set up a Patreon account. So I'm gonna try to do that. And if people subscribe to that, they're not just donate. I mean, they're not just giving me money. They're helping get information. Because this takes time and effort, as you've spent thousands and thousands of hours researching this. So
Yes.
I mean, people don't put that much effort into a job to get paid for sometimes. So if somebody wants to support you in your research and help you further, doing this, man, you should not have any qualms about that at all. But that's just my opinion. We're new friends, so
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you too much, what you should do and shouldn't do. But yeah, man, just monetize that YouTube channel. You probably make like $500-600 a month, maybe. You're getting a lot of views.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool.
I was just scared that YouTube may try to remove some of my videos. If I monetize it, they actually have this clause they can remove some videos.
Oh, okay.
If
They
he-
demonetize some of mine. Some of mine they say aren't
Yeah.
suitable for advertisers or something like that. If it has to do with me interacting with the police or something like that. But I worry about that too, about them just shutting me down. But
Yeah,
I don't
remove
know.
the video. And some of these videos were, hundreds of hours of research, and I hate to lose the video.
Yeah, exactly. But
That would
maybe
suck.
we can. Well, I don't know. Figure out a way to get these videos out so people can hear this information.
Yeah.
Like the SSG and the MMPI and all these acronyms that we're, all these groups we're talking about, how they get this funding and how it's eroding our society. It's that they try to make it look like it's helping. Like this is great for America. We're patriots. We're helping keep everything safe. But really, what they're doing is modeling Hitler's World War II Stasi police with technology. And I don't think some of these people understand the history of that. That they're doing the exact same thing that happened in Germany, and they probably say stuff about Hitler all the time, like, "Oh, Hitler was such a bad guy," yet they're doing the exact same thing that they were doing over there. So.
These groups, they preach social inclusion, respect, integrity, like the FBI, U.S. Army, which I respect. Most of my family has fought and served and taken bullets for this nation.
Yeah.
But when we look at these people that are doing this, you can look at some TIs who live in a community for 5 years, and they're highly social. they move somewhere, they're being harassed and followed in stores and gas stations, don't know a name, but these people all know each other. I'm like, how does this work where a neighborhood can all communicate, but where one person is bashed and smashed and can't even, associate with the people because they have in their mind that maybe the person is a drug dealer or something. I don't know what they tell these people.
Yeah, exactly. Or when they are friendly to you, they invite you over and they do some really weird street theater when you go over to their house. That's happened to me before.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, here I'll just tell you a real quick story of one of the times. The neighbor down the street invited me down. He was on a bike ride one night, and I like mountain bikes. And he'd stopped by one day and never met him. And he's like, "Hey, I noticed your bike's out here. Do you like to go for bike rides?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man." So he goes, "Hey, well, let's go on a ride sometime." And he was only available to go at night. He kept inviting me to go on these night bike rides out here in the mountains in the middle of the desert, but just us two. And I was like, and there was all of this weird chaos going on right in the middle of that. And I thought, I don't know, that doesn't sound like a good idea. I don't, so I kept trying to talk my way out of that one and like, no, I'm okay on the midnight bike rides in the middle of the desert. I'm okay. But then I went down to their house one day and they invited me in, and I've got this old set of books. They're like from when you're a kid. It's like something you order on the book club or something like that. But there's like 25 books in there, and they're on like like integrity and honesty and all these different topics that help you grow up, right? I've never seen this set of books anywhere in my life other than the set that I have. And I've got them here at the house. This is when I was getting home break-ins, stuff like that. So I go down to their house and I walk in, and what book is sitting right there on the front entrance right when I go in? It's one of the books from my set. From when I was a kid. That's one of the neighborhood weird, they invited me down like they were friends. Come down, they were like, do you like cheese? And I'm like, yeah, I like cheese. They're from Wisconsin or something. He was originally, so he had a bunch of cheese down there. So they made it like, we're your neighbors, we're trying to be friendly, but then they pulled the weird skit on me when I got there. Yeah, I mean
that's creepy.
one tiny little thing, and then I went back to check my books, and there's like a little spot, missing, like where, because they're set flat, and it's like one of the books is missing, so it's like somebody took it out of my house, or them, who knows? I have no idea how they do this stuff, but that's just one of the very small things that's happened here in the neighborhood. Some of the other neighbors have invited us over for food and. Odd things ensued, street theater and stuff like that. So I just don't associate with any of them anymore. Some of them are just completely rude, like you were talking about. It's like, how do they all communicate? And then like this person, I've tried to wave at these people for 4 years. One guy in the neighborhood, every once in a while, we go, hey, that one guy. That's it. But anyway, I still keep trying.
That's all we can do is be good people, respect other people, and see that, hey, we're not the problem. We're not out here hurting no one.
Yeah.
We're not sex offenders. We're not drug dealers. We're not out here stealing from no one. We're just trying to seek closure to this problem.
Exactly. Live life. Do something good. You want to finish college? You want to do something, get a professional job? I'd like to not sell hats on eBay the rest of my life. There's all kinds of things I could do, and I'm kind of stuck doing that right now to just, pay the bills. And I like my job. I'm not complaining. I'm not stuck in a cubicle. I get to, there's definitely good parts of it, but it's not where I was trying to head in life. It's kind of where I ended up because of this program. So, but yeah, if we can end this, man, then we can possibly get back to having a normal life, a real life, and be able to achieve some of those goals that we have. And hopefully if we can keep doing this, we can help other people do that same thing, So, all right.
Well, people have the right to live harassment free, and I'm going to send you that link to your email for the Myron May letter.
Okay.
I'll email it to you.
Sounds good.
After we get off, I'll do that right afterwards.
Yeah, right on. Okay, well, I think we just made it like an hour, so I think that was great. That was our first one. We'll figure out how to do this to where we can actually record the screenshot and get a little tech savvy here and get that all figured out. I'll ask Jason how to do it possibly and see if I can get it figured out. And then I don't know if it sounds good to you, man. We'll keep doing these and just keep talking about good information that needs to get out and see what we can do to help.
Mm-hmm. Right Sounds good.
Okay. Well, awesome.
All right.
It was good to talk with you. Have a good rest of the day, man. And I'm sure I'll talk to you sometime after a video here. So
All right.
I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Have a good one, Mike and Kathy. You guys have a good day.
All right, buddy. Take it easy, man. Have a good day.
Bye.